Folks, I'm Ron17 and I have a goal to read every single DC comic ever released. This will take me about 18 years. I would appreciate if you join me on this journey, but today is a very special day. I've been doing this stuff for about a month now, or we're closing in on a month, but today is a very special day because today I come to you with my second big video. If you haven't seen the first one, go watch that, it'll be in the description. But today we have everything from Action Comics #1 to Superman #1. So that means we're covering the first appearance of Superman, the first appearance of Zatara, the first appearance of Batman, and of course, the first ever superhero comic that focuses on one solo character, which is of course Superman #1. So I hope you enjoy, and yeah, I hope this one is a special one. April 18th, 1938, the most important day in comic book history. At this point, DC had existed for about 3 years, and 1 year ago they had became DC with the release of Detective Comics #1. Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel had worked at DC for a while now, and they had created many iconic and amazing and thoughtful and strong characters at the company. Dr. Occult, Slam Bradley, Bart the Spy, Steve Carson, and I think a couple others. But today, they wouldn't create a good character. They wouldn't create a great character. They wouldn't even create an amazing character. They would create the most important character in all of fiction, Superman. As a distant planet was destroyed by old age, a scientist placed his infant son within a hastily devised spaceship, launching it towards Earth. When the vehicle landed on Earth, a passing motorist, discovering the sleeping baby within, turned the child over to an orphanage. Attendants, unaware the child's physical structure was millions of years advanced of their own, were astounded at his feats of strength. When maturity was reached, he discovered that he could easily leap 1/8 of a mile, hurdle a 20-story building, raise tremendous weights, run faster than an express train, and that nothing less than a bursting shell could penetrate his skin. Early, Clark decided he must turn his titanic strength into channels that would benefit mankind, and so was created Superman, champion of the oppressed, the physical marvel who had sworn to devote his existence to helping those in need. A scientific explanation of Clark Kent's amazing strength. Kent had come from a planet whose inhabitants' physical structure was millions of years advanced of our own. Upon reaching maturity, the people of his race became gifted with titanic strength. Incredible? No, for even today on our world exist creatures with super strength. The lowly ant can support weights hundreds of times its own. The grasshopper leaps what to man would be the space of several city blocks. Obviously in this creation, all he can do is run fast, jump, has super strength, and impenetrable skin. He doesn't have the laser eyes, the X-ray vision, the freeze breath, flight. Those will all come later on. But it's still cool to see it's so cool to see his beginnings. He doesn't have the Kents yet, even though he is called Clark Kent. The Ma and Pa don't exist yet. He was just raised in an orphanage, I suppose. A tireless figure races through the night. Seconds count. Delay means forfeit of an innocent life. The governor's estate finally is reached. Make yourself comfortable. I haven't time to attend to it. What do you mean by knocking this hour of the night? I must see the governor. It's a matter of life and death. See him in the morning. I'll see him now. This is a legal entry. I'll have you arrested. Answer my question. Are you going to take me to the governor? No, I won't. Then I'll take you to him. Help! Help! Yes, this is the governor's sleeping room. Don't think you're going to get away with his outrage. It's locked. Yes, and made of steel. Try and knock this door down. It was your idea. He's funny, dude. He tells jokes. What's the meaning of this? Evelyn Curry is to be electrocuted in 15 minutes for murder. I have proof here of her innocence. A signed confession. Believing the governor menaced by a madman, the butler produces a concealed weapon. Reach for the ceiling, quick! Put that toy away. I warn you, take another step and I'll shoot. And he shoots, and guess what? The bullet ricochets off Superman's tough skin. This is no time for horseplay. Don't you realize I'm proof she's innocent and you alone can save her? Let me see those papers. Hurry, connect me with a penitentiary. Stop! The governor has pardoned her. Thank God, I told you I was innocent. He's gone, disappeared. Yes, but there's a note he left, sir. You'll find the real murderers bound and delivered on the lawn of your estate. Next morning, as Kent leaves for the newspaper upon which he works as a reporter. Have you heard? The Curry girl is innocent. Let me see the paper. Good, I'm not mentioned. Miles away in the governor's private chamber. Gentlemen, I still can't believe my senses. He is not human. Thank heaven, he's apparently on the side of law and order. The Daily Star office is reached. It was not called the Daily Planet yet. That wouldn't be for... It would be changed to the Daily Planet pretty soon. I think in like 8 issues or something. You wanted to see me? Yes, be seated. Did you ever hear of Superman? What? Reporters have been streaming in that a fellow with gigantic strength named Superman actually exists. I'm making it your steady assignment to cover these reports. Think you can handle it, Kent? Listen, Chief, if I can't figure out anything about Superman, no one can. Hurry up, Kent. A phone tip. Wife beating at 211 Court Avenue. I'm on my way. At 211 Court Avenue. Hold it. What do you want? Don't get tough. This is putting mildly the treatment you're going to get. You're not fighting a woman now. You asked for it. With a sharp snap of the blade that breaks upon Superman's tough skin. And now you're going to get a lesson you'll never forget. Fainted. Hearing police sirens, Superman hurriedly donned street clothes over his uniform. It would be just as too bad if they searched me. What are you doing here? Hello, Captain. I arrived to find the place like this. Looks as though our friend Superman has dropped in to pay a visit. What do you say to, date night, Lois? I suppose I'll give you a break for a change. That night. Why is it always you avoid me at the office? Please, Clark, I've been scribbling sob stories all day long. Don't ask me to dish out another. Nice looking dame there, eh? Guess I'll cut in. Wait, Butch. Suppose her escort doesn't like it. So what? If he gets nasty, I'll push his face in. This is gonna be good. I said run along, I'm cutting in. But this is not a robber's dance. Trying to get flip? Move quick if you know what's good for ya. Clark, are you going to stand for this? Reluctant, Clark adheres to his role of weakling. Be reasonable, Lois. Dance with that fellow and then we'll leave right away. You can stand and dance with him if you wish, but I'm leaving now. Yeah, you'll dance with me, I like it. Why, you... Good for you, Lois. Lois, don't! Fight, you weak-livered polecat. Really, I have no desire to do so. Wait, Lois! But Lois, you asked me earlier in the evening why I avoid you. I'll tell you why now. Because you're a spineless, unbearable coward. Let's get out of here. I'll show that skirt she can't make a fool out of Butch Mason. A few minutes later, a hidden figure observes Butch and his fellow hoodlums leave the roadhouse. Butch forces Lois's taxi into a ditch. All over there. Let me go. Get in that car and shut up. What burns me up is that I let her yellow boyfriend get off so easy. Well, maybe you two may meet again. Then I hope it'll be soon. Hey, watch out. Someone's standing on the road ahead of us. Watch me scare him out of his wits. Look out, you'll hit him. Superman hurtles over the oncoming auto. Butch, step on the gas, he's chasing after us. It's the devil himself. Butch's car leaps forward like a released rocket, but is easily overtaken by Superman. Dun dun dun. The occupants of the car are shaken out, and the car itself smashed to bits. Superman overtakes Butch in one spring. Just a minute, Butch. Do you mind? This will take but a few seconds. Get me off of here. Okay, I'll cut you loose. Don't. You needn't be afraid of me. I won't harm you. Bearing Lois in his arms, Superman heads towards the city, depositing her upon its outskirts. I'd advise you not to print this little episode. Next morning. But I tell you, I saw Superman last night. Are you sure it wasn't pink elephants you saw? Lois treats Clark colder than ever. I'm sorry about last night. Please don't be angry with me. Clark receives an assignment. Kent, the front page is getting so dull, I've even got to headline card games. There's a war going on in a small South American republic, San Monte. And to stir up news, I'm sending you down there as a correspondent. Take along a camera and try to send back some good shots with your articles. Kent takes a train, not toward San Monte, but to Washington, D.C. In the capital city, he attends a session of Congress sitting in the gallery. Is that Senator Barrow speaking? Yes. Upon leaving the Senate chambers, Clark snaps a picture of a furtive man speaking swiftly to Senator Barrows. When can I see you? I told you never to speak to me in public. My home, tonight at 8:30. At the morgue of a local newspaper. Who's the chap speaking to Senator Barrows? Why, that's Alex Greer, the slickest lobbyist in Washington. No one knows what interests back him. 8:30 p.m. Outside Senator Barrows' residence, an eavesdropper listening in on an interesting conversation. I've told you to avoid me in public. What would people think if they knew I had anything to do with you? Quit sputtering. I had to see you. Tell me, do you think you'll succeed in pushing the bill through? There's no doubt about it. The bill will be passed before its full implications are realized. Before any remedial steps can be taken, our country will be embroiled with Europe. Fine. We'll take care of you financially for this. I suppose you're going to be well taken care of yourself? You bet he will. Upon leaving Burroughs, Greer is confronted by Superman. Who is behind you in corrupting Senator Burroughs? I don't know what you're talking about. So you're one of those silent men, eh? We'll see whether you talk. Let go of my hand. Your foot will do just as well. Stop, stop, we'll be electrocuted. No, we won't. Birds sit on telephone wires and they aren't electrocuted. Not unless they touch a telephone pole and are grounded. Oops, almost touched that pole. Look, the Capitol. Let's pay it a visit. Take me down, take me down. What a magnificent view. Help, help. I wonder if we could jump all the way to that building. No, don't. Despite Greer's frenzied protests, Superman leaps out into the night. Missed! Doggone it! And so begins the startling adventures of the most sensational strip character of all time, Superman. That's not boasting. That's not, it's not selfish. It's not being so confident that you think you're going to be the greatest. That is just being right. The most sensational strip character of all time. If almost any other character had said that, you would laugh. You'd say, haha, that's not happening, buddy. You're not that good. You're not that important. But then Superman became one of the most important characters in all of fiction. And if you don't believe me, you're wrong. In this strip, superheroes, there were a couple superheroes before Superman, yes. But without Superman, superheroes as they are would not exist. They would not be nearly as popular as they are now. Superman, here we have the concept of a secret identity. Well, probably not the first time it appears, it's the most important time it appears. We have some of his powers introduced for the first time. We introduce Lois Lane, and some people want to claim Lois Lane isn't important to Superman. She's one of the most she's almost as important as Superman to Superman. We have the introduction of the Daily Planet, even if it is called the Daily Star. We have Clark Kent's job. We have Clark Kent introduced in this issue. We have Superman's, he cares about oppressed people and wants to defend them. He wants to defend the people who can't defend themselves. We have so many things that make Superman introduced right here in Action Comics #1, 1938. Wow. It's amazing. It's amazing. It was fun. It was good to read. And now we move on to the rest of Action Comics. And rather than read the rest of Action Comics, I'm going to read them now, and I'm going to talk about them as I would any other issue or strip. And I'm just gonna do a review of the rest of Action Comics. So I'll be right back, and I'll see you then. I have now finished Action Comics #1, and let me say, it's pretty good. It's probably the best DC book so far. So obviously we have Superman, which is amazing. Superman's just great. Superman's great. We also have introduced in this book another superhero, Zatara, the father of who would eventually become Zatanna. A very popular superhero, I think, a magician. And Zatara also uses backward speaking spells in this issue, so that's introduced here, and that's cool. Some other things, there's a Zatara issue was cool. There was a cowboy story about a guy named Chuck, that was fun. There was a boxer called Pep Morgan, I really liked that one. And overall, I thought it was a very good first issue. I think it introduced a lot of interesting characters, and it was fun. It's the best so far. It's the best book so far, with Detective Comics in second. More fun comics, new adventure comics, sorry, and then final place, obviously, Feature Funnies. But yeah, Action Comics #1 is pretty good. So now we move on to whatever the next is, which I think is Detective Comics. So see you there. Hi, it's me again. It's been a few hours, actually, but I'm recording again to talk about the rest of the issues that I've now read. Okay. Now that I have read Action Comics #1, considering everything I've read leading up to this, it is very clear to me why Superman became so popular so quickly. How do I put this? Everything before him kind of sucked. I'm not gonna say it sucked. It didn't suck. There was a lot of good stuff. Sirloin of Beef, Slam Bradley, of course, Dr. Occult, amazing. Sandra of the Secret Service I liked. Don Drake on the planet Kalzar. There was a lot of, things that were enjoyable before Superman, and I liked them, and I was interested in them. But they just, at some point, they all start to blend together. They're all so similar in a way. Especially even with Detective Comics, a lot of it is just so similar. The most unique thing is like Slam Bradley, and Slam Bradley is cool, but still, it all just blends together. But then you have Superman, and he's completely different. He's so unique and new, and it feels like a breath of fresh air every time you just see Superman in one of the comics. And also, yeah, that's basically my thoughts on why Superman got so popular. It makes sense. He was the most unique thing at the time. Now, I would like to talk about specifically. So that's basically also my reason for not talking about everything in detail, because I just don't have much to say. It's just so I'd just be rehashing points I've already spoken about. There's not much to say unless I want to summarize the plot, and no offense, the plots kind of aren't worth summarizing sometimes. But I do want to talk about specifically Action Comics issue 2, specifically the Superman story in that one, because it's really funny. Superman goes to a war. He joins a war. There's a war profiteer, right? He makes weapons. He manufactures weapons for the war. So Superman's way of fixing this is saying, hey, if you don't enlist in the war, I'm going to kill you. And then Superman also joins the war just to watch him, and it's really funny. It's really good. And what they don't tell you about these old Superman comics is he's funny. He's like a funny guy. Like not even like the stories are funny. Superman himself is like, he's like a funny guy. He's like a dry sort of humor in these books that you don't see in a lot of adaptations. He's sort of, it's hard to explain, but I think you get what I mean. He has just like a dry sense of humor, right? Like it's almost like a mean-spirited humor, but towards the people he's fighting, towards the bad guys. And he's just really funny. It's funny. Superman is very well written and very funny, and it's good. And it's 100% Action Comics is the best book right now, and Superman is the best thing in it. My second favorite book is Detective Comics, and my second favorite story character in general is Slam Bradley. So we got Superman, Slam Bradley. Third would. That's where it gets difficult, because again, everything just sort of blends together. I like all the Siegel Shuster stuff. They're definitely the best in this era. I like Dr. Occult. I like Slam Bradley and Superman, obviously. I like Bart Reagan's Spy. What was the other thing I was thinking about that I like? I like Federal Men. They just wrote a lot of good stuff in this era. And that's pretty much all I have to talk about. Now, today we start with a new sort of format. It's going to be more of a review rather than a reaction. So I've already read the 10 comics, and I'm going to talk about them, and there will be like images on the screen. Okay, so starting with Action Comics number 3. So in this one, there's a rich guy, right? He owns a mine. This is Superman, by the way. In the Superman part of Action Comics number 3, Superman visits this rich guy. He owns a mine, and it's really unsafe. All the workers are like in danger. There's actually a cave-in, which is why Superman visits the mine. There's a cave-in, and one of the workers gets trapped. And even though Superman saves him, the worker ends up being like paralyzed for life, permanently injured because of this unsafe cave. So the way Superman decides to fix this is he doesn't like go give a stern talking to the guy that owns the mine. No, he pretends to be one of the workers, sneaks into the party, and the rich guy's like, "Hey, you're one of the miners. Take us to the mine so I can have my rich party down there." So he takes everyone, all the rich people, down to the mine. He leads them to the mine. Then he forces a cave-in, so they're all trapped down there. So then eventually, the rich guy has a change of heart, and he's like, gosh. Okay, so the rich people are all like, we gotta escape. We gotta get out. So they start dating. They start using, there's a pickaxes, and they start pickaxing their way out of the mine. So, also, Superman's in the mine with them. He's in there. He's in the cave-in area, and he's just not doing anything. He's just trolling them. He's watching them doing it. He's not, I could do this in 2 seconds, but I'm not gonna, because you guys suck. So then, eventually the mine owner says, if I could do it all over, I'd make the mine safe and the conditions acceptable, and I'd make it the best mine in the world. And Superman is like, okay, I'll destroy the rock and let you all out. So everybody escapes, and then the mine owner actually does decide to make the mine the safest in the world. And I thought that was very funny for 2 reasons. 1, Superman is just an asshole, man. But it's funny. But the mine owner is a bad person. Like, you can be an asshole to bad people. 2, that just wouldn't work. He would say, oh yeah, I'm going to change once I'm out of the cave. A real rich person would say, I'm going to change once I'm out of this cave. And then they wouldn't change once they're out of the cave. They would make the conditions worse, actually. So that's Superman. Also in Action Comics number 3 is Pep Morgan. And last time Pep Morgan was a boxer, but this time he's a racer. So he enters a race, and he refuses to lose when a pair of, like people that set up bets, right? So they approach him and they're like, hey, you gotta lose, you gotta throw the race. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna throw the race. So they mess with his car, they flatten his tire, and then he has to like swerve to stop a crash during the race. He gets his oil filled and whatever, and his tire fixed, and he goes out again, and then they decide to shoot him in the arm to stop him from winning the race, but he still manages to win the race. So then Pep and a police officer chase the gamblers in Pep's racing car, and the gamblers end up driving off a cliff. And it's funny. And that's Pep Morgan. Pep Morgan's like, okay. I don't have much to say about that. I just thought it's funny that it ends with them driving off a cliff. Then we have Chuck Dawson. I don't write much about this one, but Chuck jumps on a guy's head in this one, and I thought that was funny. He just jumps on a guy's head. Zatara. So in Zatara, I have 2 problems with Zatara. Well, I don't have problems. I have 2 thoughts on Zatara. First, in this issue, Zatara pays for an escort while doing an investigation. He pays for a prostitute while in the middle of an investigation. And I don't know why you're doing that, Zatara. Why are you doing that, Zatara? 2, okay, to solve the case of this issue, Zatara needs a guy who can fly a plane. So he gets his partner, Tong, to learn how to fly a plane. Tong spends hours training, taking lessons, plane lessons. When it comes time to fly the plane, Tong's like, I'm not sure, I don't have enough solo hours, I'm not sure if I can do this. So Zatara hypnotizes him to know how to fly a plane. Why didn't you just do that in the first place, Zatara? You just wasted hours of Tong's life for no reason. Zatara's kind of like an asshole for that. Now we move on to the next thing, which is Detective Comics number 18. In Speed Saunders, the main guy, obviously, as you could tell from the title of the story, he solves the case, the detective case, because the murderer locked the door. He locked the door, and that's why he got caught. In Bart Reagan's Spy, Bart is the main guy. Sally is his girlfriend. Sally spends the entire issue trying to ask Bart to marry her, but every time she gets interrupted by like some super spy bullshit, dude. Like there's just a bunch of stuff that happens, and she gets interrupted from asking him to marry her every time. And then at the end of the story, Bart asks her to marry him.
And she never gets the chance. He takes it away from her, dude. He asks her instead of, what she planned to ask him. Wow, I have a lot written for Slam Bradley. Okay, in Slam Bradley, Slam and Shorty take a drive, hoping to get away from detective life when a fucking spaceship falls from the sky. So their vacation is interrupted by a spaceship, which I think they probably would prefer the detective work to a spaceship, but it's not a spaceship. It's just a special plane that flies in the stratosphere. So it's quicker because it flies in the stratosphere. Apparently, that's the logic. Because it's able to fly in the stratosphere, it is quicker. Because there's less air resistance or something. So the woman in the spaceship comes out and she claims to be its inventor's daughter, and there's some people hunting her down, and they want the spaceship plans. And then they see some people, like a car approaching them, and she's like, "That's them. That's the people." So Slam starts shooting at them. The woman sneaks off and gets in the spaceship and flies off. Slam's now shooting at these guys. Turns out they're the police. And also another guy. And the other guy says he's the inventor of the stratosphere plane and that he doesn't have a daughter, meaning the woman was lying. However, I knew this wasn't true. I knew this guy was lying because every Slam Bradley story ends with him kissing the girl. So I knew this guy was lying because otherwise, how is Slam Bradley going to kiss the girl? So it turns out the girl's father did create the plane. Some guy named Barton, who's the guy that met Slam and Shorty, stole the invention and trapped her father in a closet. The girl joined Morley, a bad guy who wanted to steal the invention also, in hopes that he would lead her to her father. And then Barton, the bad guy, escapes in the airship, but Shorty follows him on board and stops him, and the day is saved. And guess what? Slam Bradley kisses the girl. Feature funny is number 11. Worst part of my day. More fun comics number 34. Wing Brady. Okay, my only note for Wing Brady, I was confused at first, but then I realized what this was referencing, is, dude, why does he look like that? That's all I wrote. I don't know if you can see that. You definitely cannot see that. But trust me, it says, dude, why does he look like that? And I was asking this because I was confused as to why he looks like that. It's a really funny panel. Then I moved on to New Adventure Comics number 29, in which two really funny things happen. They're coincidences, obviously, because this was before JJK was president. This was before JFK was president, and it's before O.J. Simpson was a murderer. So in this issue of Federal Men, Steve Carson stops the JFK assassination. Like, straight up, I'm not kidding. There's a parade that the president is in, and he almost gets shot in the head, but Steve stops him. Do you know how JJK died? He was in a motorcade, which is a type of parade, and was shot in the head while in his car. Coincidence? I think not. Also, in this issue, like O.J. Simpson, the villain of this issue is caught because he leaves his fucking glove behind. So there's a couple coincidences in this one, and I think it's funny that happens. I was hoping there would be a third one because the rule of three is obviously comedy, but there was not a third one. There was just those two funny coincidences, I suppose. Now we move on to Action Comics number 4, in which Superman kidnaps a man and steals his identity, uses the stolen identity to ruin a football game. The real guy is forced to quit football because Superman raised the expectations for him, because he's like the guy that got his identity stolen, like a bad football player. Superman stole his identity and made everyone think he's an amazing football player. So now this guy has to quit football because he actually sucks. Also, at the end, I'll talk about this later. So, Superman's kind of an asshole. Sometimes. Man, he kind of sucks. He sucked a little bit. Okay, to be fair, the guy wasn't like that disappointed about quitting football. I don't think he liked it. But still, it's crazy that Superman did that. Something I do notice about these early Superman books is they're less, they're kind of detective-y, right? He's doing like a lot of reconnaissance work. He's not spending a whole lot of time in the suit, to be honest. He's doing a lot of undercover stuff. Like, I think every issue except the first one has involved him being undercover so far, which I think is cool. I think seeing Superman be a detective is cool. I think that probably sticks around until about Batman, when Batman starts, being more detective. Also, at the end of this issue of Superman, there are instructions on how to acquire super strength. I read these instructions. I followed them. They are right here. And now, I'm going to attempt to lift my bed. followed the instructions right. This should work. Wait. Holy shit. I don't know if I caught it on camera, but I lifted it a little bit. Which means I officially have super strength. In Zatara once again pays for an escort. That's the second time Zatara has done this in a row. He pays for an escort. He just, I guess I respect it, man. Yeah, I mean, a guy's got to do what he's got to do. Detective Comics number 19. I just wrote, what is that, man? I don't know what that refers to. Honestly, I can't remember. But I'm sure I'll put it on screen. Oh, wait, I remember now. That's funny. That's, I would not want to be in that. Or maybe I would. I'm sure there's people who would enjoy that. Not trying to kink shame. Bart Reagan spy. So Bart and Sally are getting married. They're getting married, and their wedding is interrupted. Bart has a new mission, and guess what? They just don't get married. The unfinished wedding plot is never resolved. It's not resolved. Maybe it'll be resolved next issue, but it's not here. It's not resolved. They just don't. They mention it like twice at the beginning of the book. Sally's like mad that their wedding got canceled because they got interrupted, and then they just don't mention it again. So that's fine. In Slam Bradley is replaced by a gorilla. He isn't really replaced by a gorilla. There's like a whole plot about human apes and like a land of them, and obviously there's a woman because every issue has to involve Slam Bradley getting kissed by a woman, otherwise it's not a Slam Bradley issue. But yeah, there's like human apes and stuff. I don't know. It's crazy. It's bad. But no offense to the writers, it's a little bad. But it's Slam Bradley, so I liked it. I also read Feature Funnies number 12. More Fun Comics number 35 was very hard to read. I don't have much to say about it because I was so focused on just trying to read the words. It wasn't difficult to read. It was difficult to read, but it wasn't because it was bad or poorly written. It was because dude, just look at it. Just look at it. That was hard. It was tough. In New Adventure Comics number 30 is the final issue of the day, the final one. And in this one, in Federal Men, Shorty is here. That's right, Slam Bradley's partner Shorty is in Federal Men. But it's not really Shorty, it's just a guy who looks exactly like Shorty. And his name's Frankie. His name's Frankie, so he's not Shorty, because Shorty's real name is Sam Morgan. So this is just a guy named Frankie who looks exactly like Shorty. Don Coyote pretends to hang himself. And that's how he escapes prison. Also, still mad that they changed his name from Sirloin of Beef to Don Coyote. I actually think this is a different character completely, because they also got rid of Cowhide and whatever the other guy's name is. Hash. They got rid of Cowhide and Hash. Like, where are they? Those are my goats. They just completely changed it. I guess it sucks, in my opinion. But those are the 10 issues for today. We're starting with Action Comics 5. Okay, we start with Superman, right? In Superman of this issue of Action Comics. So the plot revolves around Lois and Clark. Clark receives an assignment. Okay, there's a dam, right? It's breaking. The dam is going to erupt and flood, basically. So Clark gets an assignment. He's sent to the dam to report on it, because he's a reporter. Lois tricks him so that she gets the assignment. But Clark is obviously also Superman, so he's able to get there first. Superman is able to save the train she's on from falling. That happens. There's some really good Lois moments in this one. Like, she's like a very, it's the first time we really get to see Lois's, like, true character, as she is normally, right? Like, she'll do anything for a story, and how much she cares about, the story, and how, like, brave she is and whatever. So, also, this entire comic is just the end of the 1978 Superman movie. It's actually, like, the exact same. Other than, like, the reason for the dam breaking, because in the 1978 movie it was because of Lex Luthor's nukes or whatever. This movie, it's just the same as the ending of the 1978 movie, which makes me think whoever wrote it actually read comics, because they would have had that. They obviously got the ending for that movie out from this comic, right? It's if you read the comic, it's really obvious, right? They're the same. They're very similar. Lois almost dies. She does die in the Donner version, but there's a dam breaking. There's just the way he saves her, like all of the imagery too. It was very similar to the 78 movie. Then there's Zatara. Okay. So Zatara is the original Harry Potter, right? There's 3 things here that are Harry Potter things. I can't remember what they are, but I'm gonna put them all here. Invisibility cloak is one. There's a second one that I don't quite remember. I don't remember what they are. I can't. But I know one of them was like an invisibility cloak. One of them was like hippogriffs, right? Zatanna made hippogriffs, and I don't remember what the third one was, but I'm confident there were 3. Also, in this, Zatara fucking drowns Tong. I don't know why he does that. Why did you do that, Zatara? Don't do that. Chill on Tong. That's it. That's all I have for Action Comics number 5, though, which means we now move on to Detective Comics 20. Speed Saunders. All I've read in here is really racist, so I guess it's... Oh, yeah, it is really racist. It's like... Dude, it's like really racist against Chinese people. It's bad. It's bad. I guess it is the 30s. Buck Marshall. Okay, there's a story called Buck Marshall. It's by the same guy that reads Chuck Dawson from Action Comics. They're the same. It's just the same story. It's the same. It's a Western. They're both Westerns. And they're both just the same character. The plots are a little different, but, not that much different. It's just the same story, pretty much. Bart Reagan Spy. I'm Senator Berkeley. I thought that panel was really funny. I just thought it was funny. I don't know. I'm Senator Berkeley. It's not that funny, but it feels really funny. We're doing 60. What more do you want? I thought that's funny because obviously cars nowadays can go much faster than 60. Well, 60 is still really fast, but you can push it further than that. So one of the characters in Bart Reagan Spy, this issue, breaks their back, and so I wrote, dude, like Batman, because obviously Batman breaks his back in the fight against Bane. Bane breaks his back. So, really, Batman, dude, I think Bart Reagan's stealing from Batman, dude. Dude, they're stealing Batman stories. This is not a funny bit. Oh, also, remember the marriage plotline from last video? Last couple issues? Guess what? They don't mention it, just like I thought. They don't mention it at all. It's just gone. They're just gonna pretend it didn't happen. There's no marriage plot. Slam Bradley is a asshole in this comic, dude. He's such a dick to Shorty. He's such a dick for no reason. Shorty did nothing wrong, and Slam is just treating him like he's an asshole, dude. He's a fucking... Dude, he's a dick. He's a bad person. Also, he turns a magician into a monkey, which I thought was cool, because I like monkeys. He's just, insane. I was questioning this entire, issue, how this is gonna get explained. Is it gonna be he used, a special, hallucinogen, or, it was a dream, or, he did all those tricks using, this tactic, but no, he just does magic. This entire issue, he just learns real magic and just does it. And then he never does it again, by the way. Never again. At least not in the next issue. I guess. I can't say never again, because I've only read one issue after this one. But he probably does it never again. Feature Funnies number 13. There wasn't much in More Fun Comics number 36, but we can move on to New Adventure Comics number 31. Catnip? Dude, that's fucked up. You can't do that. Imagine if I had friends, right? I had a group of friends. All of them had babies. I got really mad at this guy who was trying to kill me, so I went to all my friends, kidnapped their babies, and started throwing them at the fucking guy that was trying to kill me. I just pick up the babies and start lobbing them. I'm gonna do that actually. Hang on. Who's gonna pick up? Spunky Knight. Okay. Hello?
What do you want, dude?
Can I throw your baby?
Huh?
Can I throw your baby?
Sure.
Thanks. Who else would pick up? I think Kay would pick up. Hello?
Hello? Rhino horn?
Hi, can I throw your baby?
Oh.
Please?
Ryan, how's it going?
Can I throw
I
your
don't
baby?
have one of those.
Well,
Wait,
if
we can
if
throw our child. I
if
give you
you-
permission to throw our child.
we do not have a child.
Alright. What?
We don't have a child.
TikTok streak.
Oh, true. Okay, I'll throw that one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go now. Kay,
Hi, Rhino horn.
goodbye. I'm gonna have to cut some of that. I'll put an extended version on TikTok if you want to go see my TikTok, I guess. Hello?
What do you want?
Can I throw your baby?
No.
Okay. Okay. I guess it's not that bad. Actually, I guess it's fine. I'm sure he asked his friends. In federal men, they say kidnapping is the worst crime. I don't. It's not the worst crime. Well, it's pretty bad. I'd say kidnapping is pretty bad. Like, it's a pretty bad crime. But I'd say, like, there's a couple worse. Like shoplifting. Probably worse than kidnapping. Okay. Also, this is the second Federal Men comic that revolves around a young child being kidnapped. The first Federal Men comic ever was actually revolved around that, and I thought that was interesting. Don Coyote. Okay. You see this panel? I actually went through that once. I was in the Amazon rainforest, and there was a cut down tree, right? It was hollowed out. I don't know. I guess they used the wood for something. Didn't need the bark, so I was sleeping in it because I was tired, and I was, trekking through the wood. I was trying to survive. But the Knights Guard, they were hunting for me, and then they saw me sleeping in the bark, so they started shooting at me. So I had to wrap the bark around myself as like an armor and jump into the raging rapids, and just I got carried away. So I actually experienced that panel. I think they actually based that panel off of my experience. So it's nice. It's nice to be there. It's nice to be. I wish I was credited though. I would like to be credited, but I'm okay with not being credited. My second note was Wood Pussy Ball, which from this panel. It's not funny. I thought it was funny when I wrote that. It's Action Comics number 6. This is a special one because this is the first appearance of the iconic red boots. It's also technically the first appearance of Jimmy Olsen. Now that doesn't look like Jimmy Olsen, but he's a similar, like he acts like Jimmy Olsen. You know what I mean? Also Lois just drugs Clark in this one. Like she straight up just drugs him so that she can get a story. And the plot revolves around a fake Superman. Something quite a few movies and adaptations have done. It's just a guy who gets paid to act as Superman. Okay, so this guy, dude, it's like The Boys, but good. This comic is like The Boys, but good. Action Comics number 6. The Superman part is The Boys, but good. Because it's about a rich guy. He's like, hey, this Superman guy, he sounds cool. I could get a lot of sales with him. He pays a random actor. He's like, hey, pretend to be Superman. We're going to fake your super strength by doing this. And your speed by doing this. So he fakes it. He fakes the Superman stuff, and then he's like, okay. Then he starts selling advertising. He's like, hey, I work for Superman. You can use his name to advertise. And he starts selling, Superman merch, and there's so much merch. There's like this panel. There's so much merch mentioned. Also, what else was I gonna say to do with the plot? I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, it's basically just around a fake Superman, and it's cool. Zatara, Tigress, turns into an old, ugly woman. And in the previous Zathara issue, forgot to mention this, he stopped using backward spells. He didn't use them at all. His spells were gibberish in that one. But in this one, they're still mostly gibberish, but he uses one spell that's backward speak. So we're getting them back, slowly. Detective Comics 21. Speed Saunders, why does he look like that? Actually kind of resembles me. Oh, that's not good. Slam Bradley. Why is everybody in Egypt? Zathara has been in Egypt twice in a row. And now Slam Bradley's in Egypt. Why are we all in Egypt? One of my notes just says, okay man. I don't know what that means. I cannot remember for the life of me what okay man is referencing. I hope when I'm editing I remember. Otherwise this might be just, we might never find out. I thought Lord Atherton was a funny name. This issue sees Slam Bradley going to Egypt and getting work with Lord Atherton, which is an old friend of his. And his name is Lord Atherton. I thought that was funny. Also, me. I'm in this comic, dude. I'm in it. That's me. That's Zeth. That's my name. But this guy does run a slave ring. So not the best character to be named after. I don't do that, to be clear. I don't do that. But we do share a name. Slam, what the fuck are you doing, man? You can't do that. You can't do that, Slam Bradley. You can't do that. You can't just kiss people, man. You can't do that, man. I just thought that was funny. Slam wants to poke my puss. I don't know why I said my. Slam wants to poke Seth's puss. Okay. Also, 2 people die because of Slam Bradley. An innocent woman and the bad guy. And Slam just walks away like, okay. He acknowledges it for one panel and then just forgets about it. And it's really funny. Feature Funnies number 14. More Fun Comics number 37 was difficult to read. Once again, very, very hard. I think it actually took me 15 minutes to get through. No, it was more like 30. It took me 30 minutes to get through this one because it was just actually impossible to read. Not impossible because I did read it, but the final book of the day, Adventure Comics number 32, and this is a special one because it's no longer New Adventure Comics. It has now become just Adventure Comics, which would be its name until it would end in the 90s. I don't want to say 90s, 80s. I think it ends. In this issue, Steve Carson fucking dies. In this issue of Federal Man. So, the plot revolves around some bad guy that the FBI are arresting. I think he's a drug dealer or something. I think he's like a drug king, maybe. I'm not sure. He's a bad guy, though. He's a bad guy. The FBI have all the evidence. They're going in to arrest him. They're doing a raid on his house. Steve Carson and 2 other FBI agents, so 3 in total. So Steve Carson goes to knock at the door, then the bad guys are shooting at the door, right? So they have to stay outside, and they're trying to figure out how do we get in. Then the bad guy's servant wants to turn on him, wants to turn himself in. So the bad guy kills his servant, but his servant was holding a cigarette which falls on the ground and lights a curtain on fire. The house starts burning up. The bad guy faints from the smoke. Steve Carson's like, I have to go in there to save him. He needs a fair trial. Steve Carson runs in. The house fucking explodes. What the fuck? And that, folks, is the end of today's video. I was gonna say a comic, but there's 10. Starting with Action Comics number 7. Now, a couple things this issue. Starting with Superman, of course. Superman's always the main feature of every Action Comics release, always at the start. Whatever. Okay. Superman saves a circus. So the plot in this comic revolves around a failing circus, and Superman is like, hey, I will become part of your circus so that we can bring in customers. And he does that. And then there's bad guys who sabotage it. because they want the guy who runs the circus to pay them protection money. And if he doesn't pay them, they get to own the circus. So they try to destroy the circus to make sure nobody comes back to it, even though Superman's there. So, kind of like a Dick Grayson thing, except Dick Grayson doesn't exist and nobody dies. Also, possibly an earlier version of Steve Lombard in here, maybe. There's a guy at the Daily Planet who's kind of an asshole to Clark, the entire comic, and that's pretty much just Steve Lombard, but unnamed and obviously doesn't look like Steve. In Zatara, they go to another diamond mine, man. They're just doing so many. Every Zatara issue feels like it revolves around a gem of some sort. At least the most recent ones. It always revolves around some sort of gem or diamond or mine or something, and it's getting boring, man. Adventure Comics number 33 in Federal Man. Dude, this was a really good issue for Federal Man. Steve loses his memory and joins a mob. I'm being serious. Steve Lombard, in the explosion. Sorry, it's not Steve Lombard. Steve Carson, after the explosion in the last issue, the house falls on him. He escapes, but he loses his memory. He notices he has a gun in his pocket, so his, no memory having self thinks, oh, I have a gun, I must be a thief. So he sticks up a guy. Hey, stop. What are you doing? You just knocked my light over. I knocked my light over, but you caused it. Hey. Okay. What was I talking about? Right, Steve Carson. So he finds the gun in his pocket, and he's like, I have a gun, I must be a thief, because he lost his memory. So he sees a random guy, and he sticks him up. He's like, hey, give me your money. The guy punches him, and says, hey, you shouldn't be doing petty thievery. You should join me, because I'm part of a mob, of a gang. So Steve joins the gang. Then he's with the gang leader. The gang leader's about to shoot a cop dead. Steve punches the gang leader's arm. The cop shoots the gang leader dead. Dun dun dun. And that is the end of that issue, I believe. Something around there. Also in Adventure Comics number 33, there is Professor Doolittle. It's just like a funny strip. I don't think there's any words. But Professor Doolittle is kind of an asshole because he's lazy and he gets a bunch of two-year-olds to push him in a wagon. I'm gonna do that when I'm 80. Detective Comics number 22. Slam Bradley. I just realized what this is referring to. One of my notes is just, what the fuck, dude? I was confused what it meant for a second, but then I remembered. The panel's probably on screen now. You can't do that, man. You cannot do that. Also in this issue, Shorty dies. No, he doesn't actually die. He's just in suspended animation. And he does get saved. The main villain is a fat nerd. And also Slam kills a guy in this issue. He just kills a guy. Which is something he's done before, so I don't know why I wrote that down. But that's, yeah. The plot in this issue it's very racist. So the first issue of Slam Bradley was also very racist. It revolved around a Chinese specifically, bad guy who ran a Chinese gang. And they I don't know what they did exactly, but Slam Bradley and Shorty defeated them. So now in this issue, the Chinese gang is back, ran by the same guy, and it's like, hey, we're gonna stop you again. And that's what happens. Also in Detective Comics is Oscar, and he's in a barrel. What are my notes? Why did I write that? Feature Fun is 15. There wasn't much in More Fun Comics number 34. Yeah, not much happening in More Fun Comics right now, honestly. It's just it's empty, man. I don't know. That's where it all started, but, I might try to, maybe, really get into Jack Woods. Go back and read some of the issues so I can, maybe I'll talk about Jack Woods. I don't even know if Jack Woods is still... I think, yeah, Jack Woods is still there. Action Comics 8. Okay, two things. One, I love most of this issue. It's really good until, the very end. So it starts off with a trial. some kid was caught stealing, and he's sentenced to 2 years in prison. Clark is like, hey, he deserves a chance of redemption. Then, this kid has 4 friends who are also robbers. They work with a guy named Gimpy. His name's Gimpy, yes. They work with that guy. And Gimpy is, teaching them how to rob and stuff. And he's like, hey, if you ever get in trouble with the cops, I've got your back. So the boys are like, hey, Gimpy, our buddy Frankie's in trouble with the cops, but you ain't help him. Gimpy's like, oh, I'll give you the money for lawyer fees for him if you do this heist for me and go to these 4 houses. So they go to the 4 houses, and while they're gone, Gimpy calls the police and is like, hey, I'm going to report this to the police because this is a trap. I'm actually tricking these guys into getting under prison so I don't have to deal with them anymore. Superman smashes the phone before Gimpy can... He says 2 of the areas, but he doesn't say the other 2. So Superman smashes the phone. He's like, hey, get out of my city. No! So Gimpy leaves. Gimpy leaves. You're led to assume he leaves. So, Superman goes and finds the boys and he saves them from the police. And he's like, hey, boys, don't steal. But they won't listen. They're like, hey, Gimpy sucks. So Superman grabs them and he runs across wires and he jumps in the air and he's trying to scare them. But then it turns out they're excited. And then they're like, hey, that was really cool. If someone as cool as you is a good guy, then we want to be good guys too. And Superman's like, and he gives them a speech about how, they can't, it's not their fault that they're, stealers. It's about the area they live in. And Gimpy tries to shoot at them, but Superman saves them and throws Gimpy in the water. And I assume Gimpy drowns. And Superman's like, hey, okay, this is where it starts sucking, by the way. Like, before this next part is terrible. But everything before that I liked. I liked the Superman scaring them, but they're actually excited stuff. I liked the kids themselves. I liked how it focused on them stealing out of necessity, not because they want to steal. To solve this problem, to get rid of, so that people don't live in the slums and don't have to live in the slums, Superman destroys them. He destroys, like, an entire neighborhood. And then a few weeks later, the government builds apartments. First, government wouldn't do that, too. Even if the government did do that, none of these people were homeless for weeks. They can't afford that. The government's not going to give it to them for free. Superman, what are you doing? Dude, you can't do that. You can't just destroy people's homes. You can't do that, man. That's not going to work. I'm sorry. Still love you. This is why Slam Bradley is better. Slam Bradley would not do that. But everything before he destroyed the homes, that's good stuff. I would suggest reading this issue. Definitely. It is a very good issue. Action Comics 33. Federal Men. So, the gang members are mad that Steve Carson caused their leader to get killed. So they're all at the meeting place. And they're like, hey, why'd you do that? Steve's like, I was doing the right thing. I was doing the smart thing. If he'd shot at the cop, then we'd all be in trouble. So they're like, okay, that's right. You're the new leader. So now Steve Carson leads a gang. And I guess we'll see where that goes. Detective Comics 23. Slam Bradley. Time travel. Yep. They go through time. So, Slam and Shorty are fighting like a group of thugs. But it's too much for them to handle. How are they going to get others? There's too many for them to handle. Some guy pulls up with a machine gun and mows them down. And saves Slam and Shorty. And he's like, hey, I know your names. Come to this place at 8 p.m. Turns out he's a time traveler from 10 minutes in the future. Okay, he made the machine. Okay, he has a machine, a time machine. The Time Flyer. He made it 10 minutes, like at 8:10 p.m. He made it at 8:10 p.m. and then used it to go back to like 5 p.m. when Shorty and Slam were fighting them, and then save them. And I went back to 8 p.m. And then Shorty and Slam and the guy go in the Time Flyer, and they go to 2 billion years in the future. 2 billion years in the future. Which is stupid, by the way. Don't do that. You don't want to go that far in the future, I promise. So there they find plant and bird and human people. And they find 3 people. They're captured by these 3 people. And it turns out these 3 people are like prisoners, and they're said to be executed because they didn't celebrate the prince losing his tonsils. So they want to help Slam and Shorty escape if Slam and Shorty take them to a different time. Slam and Shorty agree, but then the guards arrive, so they all have to split up, and the flower guy is like, hey, you guys can't follow us, but Slam and Shorty keep following them, because they're like, we don't know where to go, so we're going to follow you. So the flower's like, hey, if you don't stop, I'm going to throw this death flower at you. Shorty doesn't realize that's what he's saying at first, so he keeps running. Slam's like, no, Shorty, stop. The flower gets thrown, hits Shorty, Shorty dies. Second time Shorty has died. Oh, but he didn't actually die. Oh, because then a bunch of humans come. Humans dressed as Santa Claus, by the way. And I guess they're the guards, but they're dressed like Santa Claus for some reason. And they come in, and they're like, hey, we can save this guy if we are quick. And Slam's like, okay, I'll get in your car. And then they crash. The car crashes. And that's where the issue leaves off. So I guess we'll figure out next issue what happens. Feature Funnies 15. Once again, not much happening. More fun comics. Number 40. So that is my 10 for the day. Today was actually the shortest, not the shortest video I've ever done, but the shortest video of this format I've done. I did not do a video yesterday, but I did read 10. I did do my 10. I read my 10, but I didn't do a video yesterday. So sorry about that. But we're back with another video today. And today is a special day. We are starting April of 1939, which is when DC increased their output slightly. All American Comics, Movie Comics, and New York World's Fair Comics were all introduced this month, with the following month being the birth and introduction of Batman. So, today we start in April. Tomorrow, we will do the birth of Batman. We'll do the dawn of Batman tomorrow. So, let's just get right into it today, starting with Action Comics number 11. Superman does insider trading. I'm not kidding. That's basically what it does. He messes with stocks. So, let's get into this. Superman. This starts with the guy who kills himself. He commits suicide because he bought stocks in an oil company that turned out to be worth nothing. So Clark Kent is sent to go investigate this. He finds out there's these 2 guys who are selling stocks for an oil company that does nothing. It doesn't drill at all. So Clark, as Superman, goes off and uses like another secret identity called like Henry, and buys all the stocks off of everybody. Then he goes to the oil mine, and he turns it on with himself. He drills for the oil himself. He finds it, which then it starts like just producing so much oil. So the stocks become worth millions, just so much money the stocks are worth now. Like Clark is a multi-millionaire now. So the 2 guys that own the company go around and they're like, hey, we want our shares back. We'd like to buy them off you. And the people are like, can't do that. We sold them to this guy named Henry. So they're like, okay, let's go find Henry. So the 2 guys, they find Henry. And Henry's like, I'm not giving you the stocks. So they're like, okay, we gotta kill Henry. We gotta put a hit out on him. Oh no, we gotta force him to give us the stocks violently. So they do that. It fails obviously because he's Superman. Then he approaches one of them in the day later on, and he's like, hey, I'm willing to sell to you. And the guy's like, okay, how much? Superman's like, $1 million. So the guy's like, that's a steep price. He talks about it with his partner. They decide, okay, it's worth it because after we buy these, we will be multimillionaires. So they buy the shares for $1 million. So after they buy the stock, Superman kidnaps the 2 men. He doesn't kidnap them. He grabs them and takes them from their homes, which is kidnapping, actually. So he does kidnap them. And he takes them to the oil drilling site, and he forces them to watch as he burns it to the ground. So he destroys it with his fists. Then he he lights a torch on fire and throws it in, and obviously because it's all oil, it bursts into flames and burns down. So now, the 2 men are poor, and I think that's pretty much where it leaves off. So yeah, as I said, Superman destroys the company and basically does insider trading. He boosts the stocks. He knows what's going to happen in the stocks, so he knows when to sell and when to buy. Zatara. Now in Zatara and Tong are on a cruise ship. On the cruise ship, Zatara, one of the people asks Zatara to do a magic show. Zatara's doing it, then a ghost appears. Zatara's like, what? The woman who asked him to do the ghost show was a woman named like Kelly or something. So then he's trying to figure out who the ghost is. There's other people on the ship, 2 other people I think, who are like, yo, is it him? We need your help hiding these files, these secret spy files. So Zatara's like, okay, I'll help. I'll turn them into a fern. So Zatara does that, then someone steals the fern. Zatara figures out, he finds the fern, he figures out the room the fern is in, he steals it back, turns it into a key. At some point he turns a guy into a door. He also turns Tong into a mouse, and something I've noticed, in like every Zatanna comic, Tong gets turned into some kind of animal. Zatara loves turning this guy into animals. And then Zatara finds the person who's looking for the file, and it's just this like murderous magician girl who's making a ghost. It's not a real ghost, she's making it with her magic powers. And then Tong is in the room with the magician girl. She's about to kill this guy so she can get the file. And she gets really scared of a little fucking mouse. She's a big, magic, scary, evil magician girl, but she's scared of a mouse. So anyways, that's how Zatara defeats her with her fear of mice, and he turns her into a statue, which feels a little harsh. I know she was going to kill a guy, and she was trying to steal some secret spy files, but still, I don't think you need to kill her. Moving on to Adventure Comics 37, Barry O'Neill. This has been going on for a while, since the very start of a new... This has been going on since the start of more... This has been going on since the first issue of New Fun, I think, Barry O'Neill, which is cool. So Fangao is finally defeated. That's a 37-issue arc closed. I've definitely read more than 37 issues. There must have been a break somewhere in there. Anyways, also, there's a small little panel, like a headline thing, advertising Batman in this issue, which is cool, because Batman obviously appears next month. In Federal Men, the Amnesia arc comes to a close. So obviously, the previous arc had Steve Carson get amnesia. He got hit on the head, and in the explosion, that his house fell down, and he got amnesia, and thought he was part of a gang, and he led the gang, blah, blah, blah. He gets his memory back, and ends up tricking the gangsters, and leads them to being arrested. Now, the first new comic of the bunch. All-American Comics #1. The first story in this is called Red, White, and Blue, which follows 3 men literally named Red, White, and Blue. I'm not kidding. They are like buddies, and they're all in different parts of the army. I think one is in the Air Force, one is in the Army, and one is in the Navy. And they're all buddies. So they meet this girl at a bar, and they save her from this bad guy, from this asshole. Turns out he was like another spy. She was a spy, and the guy was like another spy. And she was trying to get like information out of her or something. I'm not sure. So then the guys are like, oh no, we're in trouble now, what are we gonna do? The Secret Servant agent, by the way, is a woman, and she's really dumb, even though she's a Secret Servant agent, which just tells you how really misogynistic people were back then, because she's so dumb. There's no reason for her to be dumb, she just is dumb. She does a lot of dumb things. So there's like a boat, they have to go on the boat, they have to get the files to the guy, there's a whole bunch of stuff, the trio helps out, and they end up joining the Secret Service. So I guess we'll see where that goes in the next one. The second story I read in this comic, I read everything in this comic, there's only 2 like adventure story ones, was Adventures into the Unknown, which follows 2 college boys, whose name I don't remember, Alan and Ted, I think, who meet a scientist who's a college professor also, and he has a German accent or something, I don't know, he speaks like that, and he's like, hey, wanna go to Mars? And they're like, okay. So they all go to Mars. And that's pretty much the entire comic. It's just them going to Mars. They arrive on Mars at the end. And we'll find out what happens on Mars in the next issue. Detective Comics #26. To start with Slam Bradley. So, it starts off, I love this moment. It's just one moment. Every Slam Bradley comic has like a cold open. It starts with Slam knocking someone out. And this one, he knocks out a guy who's making fun of Shorty. He was making fun of Shorty's appearance, and Slam knocks him out because they're buddies, they're friends, they're pals like that. And then some artist guy sees Slam and Shorty and he's like, wow, Slam, you have amazing physique. I need to draw you. Please come back to my studio. So Slam and Shorty go to the studio. They pose for a few hours. The artists are drawing them and they're like, wow, that's cool. So Slam and Shorty are leaving, right? They're about to cross the street. They're waiting for a car to pass. The artists follow them. The artists' excuse are, oh, we're going the same way. As the car is passing, the artists push Slam and Shorty into the road. Slam, obviously being the goat he is, barely dodges, dragging Shorty along with him, so they both survive. And then Slam's like, whoa, why did you do that? The artist is like, we're part of a cult. We like to draw, we're fascinated with people in dangerous scenarios, and we like to draw that, but it got boring for us to just draw fictional scenarios. Now we want to draw real scenarios, so we force people into dangerous scenarios so we can draw that. So I was like, okay, you guys are crazy. Then the artist cult kidnaps them, forces them back to the studio, and, traps them in a pit, and they torture them, like, over and over and over again, putting them in more and more deadly, dangerous scenarios. First, they try to drown them. It stops right before they drown. Then, they try to burn them, they try to cook them alive, they try to freeze them alive. I'm trying to remember what else. There's a lion panther thing at some point. There's a leopard. Sorry, it's a leopard. I don't know. There's a bunch of things they do. Just torturing these guys. And eventually, Slam and Shorty do escape after they defeat the leopard. And Slam beats the absolute bricks out of those chumps. Those loser artist chumps. This is why I hate artists. Because they're all part of a stupid little cult. And they kidnap people and they torture them so they can draw them. And that's what all artists do. They're all part of this cult. I'm not kidding. It's real. Google it, dude. Research. It's real. I swear on my life, all artists are part of this cult. All of them. No, I'm not going to do it. I was going to call someone. I'm not going to do it. Also, in this issue is Steve Malone, District Attorney, which was pretty fun. Not much happens in this issue, It's just, it's a classic mystery, right? The servant kills the master and tries to blame it on a girlfriend. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. There's a girlfriend and a boyfriend. The boyfriend lives at a rich place with his father, I think. The father's like, I don't like you very much, girl. My boy not marrying you. I'm gonna threaten my kid. I'm gonna say I'm gonna shoot him if you don't go. Then, the next day, the master is found dead. The master, aka the father, whatever. He's found dead in his office. And guess what? The dating girl's cassette player is there. So immediately she's suspicious. But it turns out it was the servant. The girl servant who killed the master because he was planning on cutting her out of the will because she'd been stealing from him. And she killed him and tried to blame it on the girlfriend. Feature Funnies number 19. More Fun Comics 42 was crazy. Okay, I've not skipped one comic in this entire journey. Never once have I skipped a comic. There was one I skipped on stream in my, second video. No, my first video, actually. But that was just because it was on stream and it was a little too hard to read. But I went back and reread it afterwards. This issue of More Fun Comics 42 is actually genuinely 100% impossible to read. And sadly, I must announce, I was forced to skip it. I read what I could, so I did read some of it, but there wasn't a lot that I could read. So I was forced to skip it. Movie Comics number 1. It was hard to find a full version of this online. Actually, I really couldn't. But at least in this one of the stories, it's basically just telling movies. It's just movies in comic format, pretty much. The one that I could read here was Frankenstein's Son, which was cool. There's a lot of writing. It's very word focused rather than art, which is okay. But yeah, New York World's Fair Comics number 1, just a bunch of stuff. I basically took a bunch of their popular characters: Superman, Zatara, Scoop Scanlan, which is a reporter guy. I think Chuck was there. My good friend Chuck Dawson. I'm not sure though. It might have been a different Chuck. But basically, they took those characters and they put them in the New York World Fair, and that's just pretty much what happened. There was a bunch of stories that take place in the New York World Fair, focused on different characters that are popular at the company at this time. Action Comics number 12. for Superman here. Okay, so this story, yes, follows Superman fixing traffic. There's a bunch of problems with traffic in 1939. Sorry, there's 1939. There's a bunch of problems with traffic. There's a bunch of problems with traffic in 1939. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of issues, right? So, people keep getting into car crashes and dying. So Superman's like, I'm gonna fix this by destroying cars and buildings and picking people's cars up and putting them on roofs and assaulting radio announcers. And I guess it kind of works. At one point, there's a funny panel where some guy says, "Rush the police here at once." Okay, so the police start hunting for Superman because they keep getting calls that Superman's, fucking shit up. He destroys like an entire car salesman's lot. He destroys all the cars there. So there's one point where someone's like, "Rush the police here at once. There's a man under my bed. It's Superman. I hope," which is funny. Because obviously, you would hope it's Superman and not someone else. It'd be pretty bad. I mean, it wasn't Superman, so I wonder who it was. That's not good. Also, Superman pretends to get hit by a car and hunt a guy. He just does that for some reason. That's not even how he wins. That's not even how he beats the problem. He just does it. Also, there's a funny bit where he breaks through a wall that was just fixed from the last time he broke through it. And that was a really funny bit. That made me laugh. Basically, the entire issue is just Superman fixing driving. And he does it. He grabs the guy who's enforcing the traffic laws, the mayor. And he's like, "Hey, these are all the people you killed. You caused these deaths because they done traffic incidents. And that's your fault." And the guy's like, "Okay, I'm going to change my ways." And then he enforces traffic laws harder. Which is funny. Because Superman could have just did that in the first place. He did not have to do all the stuff he did before. He did not have to destroy that lot full of cars. He did not have to put cars on buildings and take people up there. He didn't have to do, any of what he did. But he did do it for whatever reason. Also, at the end of this Superman story is a one-panel advertisement for Batman coming next month, aka next video. There's also Zatara here. Zatara nabs a Slam Bradley storyline. Yep. Remember the time travel storyline of Slam Bradley? Where the guy found a way to travel through dimensions to the fourth dimension, which happens to be time. Guess what? Zatara meets an old guy who knows how to travel to the fourth dimension, which happens to be time. Also, at the end of this issue, Zatara makes two queens kiss, which might be the first ever gay people in a DC comic. I think these are the first two confirmed. That's the first gay kiss in a DC comic back in 1939. So if anyone tells you DC isn't progressive, they'd be right. But they did do that. At Adventure Comics 38, Federal Men, there's an insane murder plot. So what happens is there's this judge, right? He's found dead. He has a card in his hand that says another judge's name. Steve Carson goes to the other judge. He's like, "Did you do it?" The guy's like, "No." Another guy bursts in. He says, I'm the judge that died's friend. I'm his friend. And you killed him, other judge." The other judge's like, "No, I didn't." Turns out, through Steve's investigation, he finds out that there was a criminal that the dead judge prosecuted a long time ago. And the criminal escaped prison eventually, changed his appearance, befriended the judge to eventually kill him. And it turns out the guy who burst in, the friend, is the one who killed the judge. Dun dun dun. And that was it was an insane murder plot, but it was pretty fun to read. So, that's pretty much the video for today. I do want to say a couple things. First about Superman, and then about Slam Bradley. First of all, Superman's a dick in this era. He's just an asshole. Just a complete dick. He sucks. He's cool. He's cool because he does do it to rich people, but he's also just a dick, man. He's just destroying shit. And he's just being like an asshole. It's funny. And I kind of like it. I do kind of like it. I like Superman being an asshole towards evil rich people. Also, other thing I wanted to talk about, I fucking love Slam Bradley. Look at my YouTube channel right now. I changed my profile picture to Slam Bradley because I fucking love that man. I love him. He's so cool. I love Shorty. I love Slam. I love their stories. I love their adventures. They're so unique and different from everything else going on right now. I know, I said Superman's unique, and Superman is unique. It's different. But Slam Bradley, the stories are so fun, They're so unique. Like this, like the time travel stuff, the Human Fly. This one with, what was this one? This one with the frickin'... Oh yeah, the Artist Cult. That was cool. The Artist Cult was awesome. There's the one with, where Slim Shorty goes into splendid animation. I said the Human Fly already. That one's really good too. The Underwater Submarine Man. Just overall, Slam Bradley is awesome. Slam Bradley? Dude. Superman has been my favorite DC character for a long time. Slam Bradley, though. Slam Bradley's my favorite DC character. And with that, tomorrow we get Batman.
Batman. Now, this is a very important comic. Not necessarily as important as Superman. I'm not going to say it's less important. This is... The way Superman marked a change, as well, this also marks a change. Because after Batman, more and more superheroes will start to appear. Now, yeah, it's because of Superman. But after Batman, people like Blue Beetle, The Flash, Shazam would slowly and slowly start to get introduced more and more and more and more. And it changed the game. I mean, look at Batman now. He's the most popular superhero of all time. Like, I love Superman. Superman's the most iconic and the most important. But Batman's inarguably the most popular. I mean, look how many games he has. Look how many movies he's had. Look how many adaptations he's had. He is massively popular, and there's a reason for it. He's a cool, interesting character. And, yeah, this is a good comic. I like this. It's a bit silly. Obviously, it ends with Batman killing the guy, which is obviously something modern Batman can't do. But just like Superman killing people or not having laser eyes or flight, these older versions don't have all the things that make these characters iconic. And those things would get developed later on. But I still like this. I think Slam Bradley's better. This was fun, though. I completely understand from reading this comic why he became such a popular character. Because he's a good character. From his first issue, he's cool. A rich guy who is a vigilante at night, that's a cool concept. That's a pretty cool concept. Anyways, I'm not going to do my outro yet, because after this, I will be reviewing the rest of the comics as I read them throughout the day, because it's currently 8:22 a.m. It's 6:23 p.m. Last part of the video was recorded at like 8:23 a.m. So things are a bit different now, and we're continuing with the rest of Detective Comics number 27. So Speed Saunders, there's a really funny panel from a guy that dies. He just looks so dumb. The killers in this one are really stupid. I can't remember what they do, but they do something really dumb. Oh yeah, they're dumb. They're dumb. That's all you need to know. I am Bart Reagan's spy. Oh yeah, there are government officials dying from stomach bombs. So there's a hotel, right? There's a guy at the hotel who gives these government officials a banana. The banana has a little thing on it. When it interacts with your stomach acid, it explodes and makes it seem like you died from stomach hemorrhage or something. And so yeah, that's what happens. In Slam Bradley this issue, Slam and Shorty befriend a guy named Dick, and Dick dies. Some evil guy that escapes prison kills Dick because Dick puts him back in prison. Then he escapes prison again, he kills Dick. And then they try to kill Slam and Shorty, but Slam and Shorty stop him. And he's an evil skiing guy, tries to ski away, but they're better skiers. All American Comics number 2, Red, White, and Blue, which features Red, Durgan, a guy named White, and a guy named Bluey. Also, last video I called Doris an idiot. She was dumb in that comic, not in this one. In this one, she's funny. I love her in this one. Okay. So, Red, White, and Bluey have to ship out to go to Texas or something, I think. And so, Red
calls Doris and is like, hey, wanna go on a date with me before that? And she's like, yeah, meet up with me outside this building, 123 building. It's not called that, but it's a placeholder. So then, White calls her too, and he's like, hey, I'm going to Texas. Don't you want to say goodbye? She's like, yeah, meet up with me at 123 building. And then Bluey calls, and she's like, meet up with me at 123 building before he can even say anything. And so they all meet up with her, and they get tricked, and she doesn't even show up. And it's really funny. Also, Red gets mind-reading powers. He has a friend who's a hypnotist that hypnotizes him into having mind-reading powers, and that's how they win. But yeah, no, that's great. That makes sense. Adventures into the Unknown. The trio made it to Mars. They get captured by the Martians, who are like bug people that live in robot suits. And then they get put in stupid jail. Sorry, they don't get put in stupid jail. The jail that they get put in is stupid. It's a dumb jail design. Feature Funnies number 19. More Fun Comics number 43, Ginger Snap Fish Lol. That is what I wrote in my notes, and this guy, he got some fish. So she was like, hey, let's play hide and seek. He ditched her and went and found some fish. I go fishing. No, I don't. I don't know why I said that. I don't fish. But yeah, he got a bunch of them. Pretty good haul for a day. Movie Comics number 2. Dude, the art in this one is so fucking hilarious, dude. Holy shit. It's so funny, dude. It's funny, dude. Why do they look like that? Why does it look like that? Are those pictures of real people, or is that still art? It looks like pictures of real people. And they're stylized to look like art. It's it's bad, dude. It's funny, though. Action Comics number 13. Okay. In this one, dude, so the people in this are dumb. They're 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 dumb. They are dumb. They're dumb. So one of the bad guys. Okay. First, the plot starts off with the bad guys. The bad guys are the cab company who are like, hey, you pay us for driving or something. I don't entirely understand what it is. It's like a gang. And they make people join them by paying. They make people pay for a membership, and then it's like a cab service or something. I don't know how it works. Anyways, this bad guy who's helping run it sees Superman crush a gun with his bare hands and is like, I'm gonna punch that guy. I'm gonna punch that guy in the face. And then he doesn't get thrown off the building. Superman picks him up and is leaping across buildings with him in his arm. And the guy wakes up and tries to stab Superman, which surprises Superman. It doesn't hurt him, obviously, but it surprises him. So he drops the guy to his death. And yes, he does die. So the two other guys who work for the cab company see him fall to his death. And are like, oh, that's not good. Anyways. And that's genuinely, unironically their reaction. So anyways, he follows them to their base, and he sees them pick up a car and decides it's a good idea to shoot at him. The guy that just picked up a car. Let's shoot at that guy instead of running for our lives. So anyways, the bullets bounce off his chest, and he forces them to destroy their cars. And then he gets captured. No, how does this happen? He follows them, right? They go someplace. He's following them. He arrives at this house in the woods. Suddenly, he gets shocked. Got enough electricity to zap 500 men. And this is when Superman meets his first ever supervillain. I'm gonna let you guess who it is. Bald. Super genius. Will do anything he can to destroy Superman because he just hates him so much. Has been scheming against Superman for a long while now. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Who else could I be talking about but the Ultra Humanite, Superman's first ever supervillain, who currently, he'll eventually become a gorilla, I know that, but currently, he's a bald guy in a wheelchair and doesn't have legs. And he's really smart. Not really, though. Not that smart. So the supposedly genius Ultrahuman Knight tries to kill Superman. The man who just survived 500 volts of electricity. No, not 500 volts. Enough electricity to kill 500 men. So, and this is the Ultrahuman Knight, right? He's been following Superman's adventures for a while. Theoretically, he should know Superman is bulletproof. So, I don't know why he decided the way to kill Superman was gonna be to hit him with a saw blade. That's not gonna work. You're supposed to be smart. You've been following Superman for how long? And you don't know he's bulletproof after he gets shot at and doesn't get hurt every issue? Your men just did that. Your men just shot at him and he survived. How do you not know this? Anyways, obviously it doesn't fucking work because it's Superman. So, dude, and it's even worse because the saw blade explodes. Because obviously it doesn't work because it's one of those automatic spinning saw blades. It explodes. One Piece shoots it and kills one of his servants. He just dies. Ultrahuman obviously doesn't care because it's Superman. But still, you could have just not had that happen by not being a fucking idiot. Use that bald fucking head. Use it! So, Ultrahuman Knight's final plan to kill Superman is to just burn the house down with Superman inside. Because the guy who can survive saw blades and enough electricity to kill 500 men and bullets is going to die in a fire, right? Anyways, Ultrahuman Knight escapes with his henchman on a plane. And then Superman escapes the house and jumps in the air and destroys the plane. I'm not sure if he flies. It looks like he flies, but I don't know if that's the thing he can do yet. It's a little confusing. He destroys the plane. It crashes. Ultrahuman Knight's body is nowhere to be found. Dun dun dun! This brings Superman's kill count up to quite a few, I think. He's a murderer. He's got no problem killing people. Nope. I'm not complaining. Characters change. But it is really funny. Adventure Comics 39. Federal Men. Not much happened in this issue, but in Federal Men, they do say marijuana is the drug that makes people evil, which is... It's like the drug... I don't remember the exact wording, but it's like the drug that makes you forget all your morals. It's a really funny thing to call weed, because that's not true. I don't smoke anything or do any drugs, but I am not an idiot. I know weed doesn't do that. That's not how that works. If anything, that would be like, not even alcohol really does that. Most people who get drunk, I would assume, don't turn into evil people. I just don't think that's how it works. All-American Comics number 3. I did not skip, I read it, but it was ass. Red, white, and blue. So, Adventures into the Unknown. So the professor says that they can't escape yet because he wants to learn more about Mars. If you didn't watch the last video, which you should watch every video. You should watch every video. You should be watching every video, all of them, that I'm posting daily for 18 years straight. Maybe you don't want to commit to that, actually. I understand. You're just not as good as me. I can read 10 comics a day for, a total of 3-4 hours straight? But you can't watch a 20-minute video every day? Little pussy boy. Little pussy girl. Little pussy non-binary person. Can't even do a video a day. I'm better than you. Yeah. I am. If you don't know what's going on in Adventures into the Unknown, there's 3 guys. 1 college professor who's old as shit, but he's a genius. 2 college boys, Alan and Ted. And the professor's name is just Professor. I don't remember his name. He's just called Professor throughout the book, though. The professor is like, let's go to Mars. The 2 guys are like, okay. So they go to Mars. They meet these bug people. Martians are bug people in machinery. The Martian bug people take them to prison. Dun dun dun. What's gonna happen next? We're finding out in this issue. Now, what's happening now, that was the past. That was what happened in the last 2 issues. This is what's happening in this issue. The professor says they can't escape yet. They figure out, okay, the professor left a paper trail while they were being taken to the prison. So they can escape. But they can't escape yet because the professor wants to learn more about Mars. Imagine if I was 45 and you are 18, and your friend is 21. And I'm like, do you want to go to Mars? And you say yes, because it's fucking Mars. Obviously, there's not going to be any life there. And also, you get to go to Mars. So you go with me to Mars. And it's like, whoa, we're on Mars. Oh no, we get kidnapped by evil aliens, and they're going to kill us if we don't escape. And I'm like, I have a way to escape. Not yet, though. Not yet. I want to study the evil alien bugs more. No, we can't leave yet. No, we can't. No, we can't. Oh. So, the three men, the trio, they're brought to a museum. A sort of museum-looking thing where there's these people in tubes. And then the bug aliens put them in and start putting them in the tubes. But the professor saves them because he learns how to communicate with the Bugman through math. They speak math or something. So then they're taken back to their cells, and they're given a device that that listens to everything they say, and then using that data, it learns how to speak English. And then it tells them the story of Mars. And the story of Mars is that there were the above people and the below people. The below people are the bug guys, I think. And the above people were like, we don't like you bug guys very much, so we're gonna kill you. We're gonna kill you. We're gonna kill you. And then some really good scientists figured out a way to take the brains out and put them in machines. But he also figured out how to take a brain and make it into two brains. So we get infinite brains. And now every Martian is a little brain in a robot body. And that's what all the bug people are. Detective Comics 28. Should I talk about that? I don't have much to say about that. They should add this to Martian Manhunter lore. Honestly, they should. Actually, it's kind of cool lore. If you work on it a bit, I think it could be cool and intriguing and interesting. I think it is cool, intriguing, and interesting. Actually, it just needs to be in a better story, and maybe a more modern story. Anyways, Detective Comics 28, Batman. Bruce impersonates Commissioner Gordon to find a case. He hears about a case on the news, and he's like, I'm going to impersonate Commissioner Gordon to find out more from this crime guy, this snitch guy. So he finds out that they're going to be somewhere at some time, and he catches them, and he beats them up, but then he's smart, and he makes the police think he's one of them before he dives away, leaving the money behind. So now the police think that Batman is one of the crooks. So the jewel thieves know this, and they're like, okay, since the police are looking for Batman, we're free to do whatever we want, and we won't be followed. But now Batman is free to follow them without them thinking anybody's following them, so they'll be a little more lazy. Also in this, Batman drives a bright red car, and he stops the crime by just beating them up when he just finds them and beats them up. Kinda. That's pretty much just what happens. And he drives his bright red car that would be very recognizable. I hope. What are you doing? What are you doing, Batman? He doesn't have the Batcave, so he's just driving this back to his house. He's driving a bright red car back to his mansion, and I guess just putting it in his garage? What are you doing, Batman? Don't drive a bright red car. Don't do that. That's dumb. That's dumb, Batman. Anyways, he drops the head of the criminals off at the police station. Slam Bradley. Slam finds out he's in a random dead guy's will. Some guy named Whitethorn just put him in his will. So Slam has to go to the mansion that night to hear the will and find out what he got. The dead guy leaves absolutely nothing to his family. His family are there, right? His sister's there, his nephew's there, some other lady's there, his butler's there. None of them get anything. He does leave everything to Slam Bradley, and his reasoning for this is, Slam saved me at a park one time. I was about to get beat up by some ruffians, and Slam punched one of them in the face, and he beat them up. But Slam just likes fighting. He probably didn't even know the guy was in trouble. He probably just saw some aggressive guy and was like, I'm gonna fight them, because I like to fight people. Slam's a good guy. He's a good guy. He likes to help people, but he also likes to fight people. But there's an addendum, which, I'm not a will guy. I don't know the law of the will, but I'm assuming you can't put an addendum that says if you die, everyone else gets the money. I don't think you can say, hey, you have to stay in this mansion with people who want my money, And if you survive until the morning, then you get the money, but only if you stay in the mansion with all these people who probably want to kill you so they can get the money. It's I don't think that's legal. I feel like there's probably a little bit of that's illegal. Hey, you're encouraging this people to kill this guy. So I feel like that's maybe just a little bit illegal. Just a little bit illegal. So I don't remember what that's referencing. What was the LMFAO referencing? Oh my god. I remember. Slam absolutely orphans on this girl, who obviously, wants his money, and he makes this remark, which is very funny. Anyways, Robert kills himself. Robert, the nephew of the Whitethorn, the guy who died, kills himself. They hear a scream, they open the door, Robert's gone, the window's open, and there's a suicide note. While Slam and Shorty sleep that night, someone shoots an arrow at them, which wakes them up, and then they hear another scream, and they find out the sister died. So people are dying all over the place. Slam does an autopsy. He calls a guy and says, hey, do an autopsy on Whitethorn, please. Tell me what the autopsy results are. So the guy's like, he was poisoned. So Slam's like, oh, I get it now. He knew he was going to get murdered. So he put me in the will so that I would figure out who the killer is, because they would come for me next. And I'm a detective, and I'm an awesome guy. So, Slam discovers a bookshelf that moves. He opens it, he goes down there, and he sees who else but the lady from before and the killer, who turns out to be Robert, who faked his suicide because he had gambling debts that he needed to pay off, and he wanted to kill every member of the family, and Slam Bradley would mean he would get all of the money. So Slam defeats the killer, and then he decides to donate all the money to charity. And that's why Slam Bradley is my goat. My goat. I'm not gonna say I like Slam Bradley more than Superman and Batman. I'm not going to not say I like Slam Bradley more than Superman and Batman. I like Slam Bradley more. Feature Funnies number 21. Okay, so that is my 10 for the day. That's my 10 for the day. So, we got Batman. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Blah, 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 blah. Now, some announcement stuff. If this video gets 30 or more views in 24 hours after I posted it, I will post another big hour-long video. I will post another big hour-long video right after this one, if this one gets over 30 views in the first 24 hours. If it doesn't, I will still post that video, but it will be after Robin's introduction, which will be in 12 days about. So, it'll be also, okay. If this video gets more than 30 views in 24 hours, the big video will be shorter, and less edited, but will come out sooner. If this video gets less than that, the video will come out later and will be longer and will be more edited, probably. As in, more stuff will be cut out. Not it'll be like better edited. There'll just be more stuff cut out because I have to cut it down. So that's just an announcement. Nobody's watching the videos this far anyway, so I'm not worried about that. But that's pretty much all I have to say. Comics are good. I like them so far. My favorites are, I love Action Comics. Superman is the best in Action Comics. Slam Bradley is still the best in Detective Comics. Don't get me wrong, I love Batman. Slam Bradley's currently, at least, better. Yeah, that's about it. Beginning with More Fun Comics number 44. To be honest, I don't care about this one, man. There's nothing interesting going on. It's a slog. It's a slog. It's almost as bad as Feature Funnies. It's not. No, that's a lie. Feature Funnies is terrible. I'm gonna talk about Feature Funnies in a second. More Fun Comics is like, okay, it's the one we started with. Magic Crystal of History is still going on, which is crazy. Wing Brady too. I would have assumed Magic Crystal of History wouldn't have this much legs, but I guess there's a lot of historical events you can go through. But it just I don't know. It's fine. Wing Brady is alright. That's all I can remember, to be honest. It feels like a slog. Movie comics, also about More Fun Comics, it's always the one that's blurry. if there is ever one that's really blurry to the point where it's difficult to read, it's always More Fun Comics. It's only More Fun Comics. I don't understand why it's only More Fun Comics. It's not even Adventure Comics. Not. Anyways, moving on. We have Movie Comics number 3. Boring. I don't know what else to say. This one's it's just boring. It's fine. It's like, okay, I guess. There's not much happening. And obviously, it's just movies. It's just movie plots, from what I can tell. I don't know. I haven't watched any of these movies or even heard of most of them. But it seems like it's just movies, but in a comic format. Mutt and Jeff number 1 is literally just straight up impossible to find. I could not find it anywhere. I checked everywhere. I'm not kidding you. I checked everywhere. I could not find it. It doesn't matter because it's just newspaper reprints anyway, according to the wiki. Now, we move on to a pretty big moment in comic book history. In DC history specifically. This is the first time for DC a character has gotten a title all to themselves, with Superman number 1, which is pretty cool, if you ask me. Now, in this comic, there's a couple things that happen. It's mostly just reprints of his first 4 Action Comic stories, I think. But there are some interesting things. There's all like a 4 to 5 page extended version of his origin. So we get the first mention of Krypton by name, we get the first mention of the Kents by name, and we see them finally adopting him and raising him. It's just a general retelling of Clark's origins, and we also see him join the Daily Planet and become Superman. We see the events leading up to his first appearance in Action Comics, where so there's a mob about to lynch a prisoner, and Superman stops them. It turns out the prisoner was actually falsely accused for murder, and there's this other woman, Evelyn Curry, who is also falsely accused for murder. So Superman finds the real killer, captures her, gets her to sign a confession, drops her off, and then that's where the reprints start, and it picks up with the story of Action Comics number 1. So yeah, not much to talk about other than the added stuff at the beginning, because the rest is just reprints. But it's fun. It's good to read. Obviously, I didn't reread the stories. I will reread them eventually because they're fun. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. It's cool to see. It's cool to see. I think this one was not monthly. This one's not monthly, so we're not going to be seeing this. Like, I know the Superman title is monthly currently, along with the Action Comics title, but back when it started, I believe it was every 3 months. So this was, I want to say, July of 39? July of 39, which would mean June, July, August, September, October. So the next issue of Superman will be in October, I think. I'm not sure on that. Maybe September. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's all I have to say about Superman, pretty much. Then we move on to Action Comics number 14. It starts with, so there's a guy. Okay, so there's a newspaper story about a train tunnel that collapsed. Part of it collapsed. So Superman's going down there to inspect the train tunnel. And he sees this guy who's also inspecting the train tunnel, and he also sees thugs just attack the guy and knock him on the train track and then run away. Superman grabs the guy as the train is coming in, runs away from the train and saves him. Turns out the man is a city inspector who is inspecting the materials the train tunnel was made of. And, he was attacked and left on the tracks. So Superman tracks down the attackers, he follows them. The inspector, since he got away, he files a complaint. The inspector's named Hughes, and he files away a complaint against the company that built the train tunnel, which happens to be who the 2 attackers worked for. It turns out the attackers were paid by the CEO to kill Hughes so that the CEO would not get exposed. Superman orphans for a bit, right? The guy goes to punch him and Superman just blocks him with like a simple hand. He just raises his hand. It's like, so Superman holds the CEO out of a window to force him to confess. The CEO confesses, but the henchmen push Superman and the CEO out the window. And obviously Superman is fine because he's Superman. And he's holding the CEO, and they're both fine. They both survive. So Superman gets the CEO to write a written confession, and then he tracks down to the goons and follows them, but they press a button and the car goes invisible? And Superman's like, okay, they're not working alone because that doesn't make any sense. No, two thugs couldn't figure out how to make a car go invisible. They're working for someone. Guess what? He's right. He follows the tire tracks to a shed in the middle of nowhere. He falls into a trap, landing in a tank that seals itself off and activates. Who do you think captured him? Now, last issue of Action Comics, we got introduced to Superman's first ever villain, the Ultra Human Knight. Now, obviously I did a little bit about, teasing it to be Lex Luthor, but obviously it wasn't. This issue, though, right, the villain here, Superman's second ever supervillain, bald. Okay? Evil. Hates Superman, would do anything to destroy him. Traps him, right, to kill him. Wants to kill him. Well, all his schemes are built up to destroy Superman. And he's bald and he's evil. Now, Ultra Human Knight was in the last issue, right? But what if I were to tell you, this character is very similar to the Ultra Human Knight, but a little different. Ultra Human Knight died in the last issue, so it can't be him, can it? So who is it? Of course, this is the second appearance of Ultra Human Knight because he actually survived the plane crash by escaping in a parachute. So the Ultra Human Knight has once again trapped him. Ultra Human Knight, already explained that. So the machine traps Superman in a block of crystal, but Superman wakes up and breaks out the crystal by flexing his muscles, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. Then Ultra Human Knight manages to escape in the invisible car, but Superman does capture the thugs and delivers the confession by the CEO to the health inspector. Now, on to Adventure Comics number 40. Sandman. Now, Sandman was introduced in New York Fair Comics number 1. I don't remember what it's called exactly, but it's something like that. I did read that on the channel. Well, I didn't read it on the channel. I reviewed it on the channel. I didn't say much about it because I figured it was, whatever. Bud and Jeff was in there. But, yes. Sandman was in there. Sandman's first comic. I did read it. I just didn't talk about it because I didn't like it that much. I did like this one, though. This one was okay. So, the Tarantula kidnaps a woman with a $500,000 ransom fee. So, Wesley Dodd, a rich guy, he's the Sandman. Okay, the Sandman. Who's the Sandman, Rhino Horn? He's a guy that wears a mask, and he has a gun that shoots chemicals. He has a chemical gun. And he leaves sand at the scene where he is. He's like a vigilante. So, he sneaks into the mansion where the lady lived, and where she was kidnapped from. And he sort of sneaks around looking for the tarantula. He eventually finds a secret hallway behind a mirror. He finds a lady named Vivian and some thug, who I assume the tarantula employed to capture her, and uses a gun to release the sleeping glass, knocking them both unconscious. So he goes back out to the mansion, leaving them both there like an idiot. I don't know why he did that, because the tarantula then comes along and sees them unconscious and is like, oh, Sandman's here, I gotta look out for him. So he goes back out to the mansion and starts searching for the tarantula. The tarantula finds the two unconscious people and figures out the Sandman is here. But then, I guess this is Sandman's plan the entire time. He has a pillow, he puts his cape on it, and he puts his hat on it. And he's like, and the tarantula comes out and he sees that and he's like, oh, that's the Sandman, I'm gonna shoot him. And then it turns out Sandman was behind him, puts out a sleeping gas gun, and tarantula gets knocked out. Federal men. Steve Carson investigates counterfeit money. I don't have much more to say about that. There's a town that's using counterfeit money, and they solve it. The Federal men. All American Comics number 4. So, Whitey is wearing a gown in red, white, and blue. In Adventures into the Unknown, right. Fuck, I gotta remember this one because I did not write notes about it. Okay. So, they're on Mars, right? It turns out... God, what happened in this issue? Okay. So basically, they're like, we want to escape this place, Professor. Professor's like, no, not yet. I'll learn more about Mars. Turns out the aliens want to take away their brains and turn them into statue things. Turn them into Martians like them. So the two college kids are like, no, and the professor's also like, well, no. So they have a robot that speaks English lead them around the place, and they're like, we got an escape plan now. But then the next morning, it turns out the professor's disappeared. Then they find the professor. He's now been put in a fake body, and he cannot move, but he can still talk. So they talk to him, and he's like, yeah. Earth didn't appreciate me. They thought my theories were dumb and stupid, but these aliens, they like my science, so I'm gonna stay here and you guys can escape. And the boys are like, okay. And they begin their escape plan. Detective Comics 29. In Batman, the first appearance of Batman's first supervillain, I would say, Dr. Death. Some guy who's like pheromones to kill people. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, not pheromones. There's a pollen, I think, or something like that. So anyways, Dr. Death sends Batman a letter in the newspaper and tells him to come to like a specific place at a certain time. So this is the first appearance of Batman using gadgets, which are gas pellets in this, and sticky things to climb up a building wall. So turns out the meeting place is a trap, and there are two gunmen hiding to shoot Batman, but of course, being Batman, he beats their fucking asses. So Batman does get shot in the shoulder by a third gunman, but does escape using a gas pellet. Later, Bruce spots the same gunman in daylight, just walking around, and follows him. He ends up following him to Dr. Death's laboratory. He finds Dr. Death, chases him throughout the lab, and a fire starts, and Bruce just kind of watches Dr. Death burn to death. But it's left obscure whether he died or not, which is confusing, because Bruce is right there. Bruce is staring right at him. Bruce would know if he died or not. But at the end of the issue, it says, is this the end of Dr. Death, really, or not? I would assume, since Bruce saw him burn to death. Also, don't know why you're just letting that happen, Bruce. Anyways, in Slam Bradley, Slam punches a guy for stealing his mail. Right, that's how the story starts. Turns out the guy was trying to steal a letter that says, warning, keep out of Hawaii, skull. Don't know why he was trying to steal that. His paper is scarce in the 1939, probably. So, of course, receiving this letter, Sam's like, I want to go to Hawaii now. There's one point where Shorty mentions Superman, which is cool. Just in passing, he just says something about Superman. He's like, oh, do they got the funnies in that newspaper? Is Superman in there? In Hawaii, they're in Hawaii now. They get another letter from an anonymous person that says them not to go to this specific spot. So they go to this specific spot, and a woman pops out of the bushes and scares Shorty half to death. Turns out her assassin's trying to kill this woman. Her uncle is missing, and she wrote the letters to get Slam's help. The uncle is Charles. His name is Charles. So Uncle Charles' friend, Hiroto, also received a letter, apparently. And then as he leaves, after telling them this, Hiroto is attacked by some thugs, and Slam and Shorty try to follow them, but then they can't anymore because there's a fork in the road. So they go back to the spot, and it turns out there's a letter there now. Someone calls them, and Betty, Hiroto, and Charles have all been captured by someone who calls Slam and warns him to leave the island or else. So, according to Hiroto mentioned this earlier, some guy named Chang had been following him. So, I don't like that. Okay, hi, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had a really weird feeling in my chest. Thought I was having a heart attack. Anyways, where were we? Right. Betty, Hiroto, and Charles are all captured by someone who calls Slam and Shorty and warns them to leave the island or else. That's right, Chang. So Slam saves this Chang guy from drowning. He has Shorty swim out, puncture his lifeboat that he's using, and then Slam swims out and saves him and pretends to, save him. Then Slam has Shorty, when that doesn't work to get closer to Chang, Slam has Shorty purposefully trip the guy. to make him angry. So then Chang has them murdered, and Slam and Bradley let that happen. They let themselves get taken. It turns out, they get taken. It's really racist. They get taken to this other island where there's this Hawaiian guy, and he's gonna human sacrifice them. There's a native Hawaiian tribe, and they're gonna sacrifice Slam. But he knows ventriloquism is really racist, and Slam isn't racist. He just knows ventriloquism and pretends to be a god, and they believe him because, of course, they do. It turns out Hiroto is actually the leader of the bad guys trying to capture the Betty and them, because he works for a government that wants to help Hawaii separate from the U.S. so that they can then take over Hawaii. Slam and the gang escape, and Hiroto and his crew die because a volcano goes off. Sorry if my last half of that wasn't great. I am feeling a little bit weird. I hope I'm not having a heart attack. I don't know, like, the symptoms of a heart attack. I don't think I'm having a heart attack. I think I just got a little scared by that weird feeling in my chest. I am probably fine. Probably just like gas or something. I don't know. Like I needed to burp. Anyways, then I read Feature Funnies 22 and More Fun Comics 45. Okay. That's everything for today. We read some Superman, some Slam Bradley, some Batman. We got the first ever Superman comic, which is pretty good. The stuff added was pretty good. The stories in it were good, but I've already read them, obviously. So it wasn't like anything, super awesome, but it was the first DC comic to focus on one character and one character only, which is cool. Thank you all for watching. It's Rhinohorn again. I really appreciate it. If you made it this far, that's insane. Thanks. This is like a 2-hour long video. I don't know how you sat through all that. But basically, I'm releasing, one of these 20-minute videos every day. That's just a review of, the 10 comics I read that day. And, And then I'm releasing, sort of these summary videos every, like, a few weeks or so. Just whenever I feel, fine. The next one of this will be released when I get to Robin. And then the fourth one will be released when I get to Wonder Woman. So I have the 2 next ones planned out. I don't know after that. I don't know what's happening after that. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Goodbye. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.